It's really hard to see this. All right, I should be live. I should be live right now, I think. I think I'm live. I think I'm live. All right, just want to say all of you are amazing. I'm glad you are here in my live stream. It is the day after Christmas. So today is the 26th of December, 2023. And yeah, I tell you what, you don't expect to get up at 4 in the morning, you know, because, well, I get up quite a few times in the middle of the night because I have to. My bladder won't let me sleep the whole night through. It just doesn't let me do that, you know. But it's definitely a different Christmas. I'll wait till everybody gets in here before I get into what's happening. I just got back here. Oh God, I never thought I would be dealing with this so close to Christmas, like the day after. Normally, Christmas, it's a very festive time. You know, you get together with friends, family. And day before Christmas, I was invited. You know, a friend of mine invited me over for Christmas dinner. I don't really like to say who they are because they might, you know, for privacy reasons. But you know, I was invited to a Christmas dinner. It was the night before. Things didn't work out as I'd hoped. You know, it was a complicated situation. The party was gonna, well, I don't know if it's really a party. It was a Christmas dinner. It was gonna be at my friend's house, then ended up being moved to a different house. So it was much further away, and I just didn't have enough, unfortunately, I did not have enough reserves to drive much further. And it was getting later. So I was hoping to do that, but I just didn't want to be stranded. I've already had this happen before where I almost did not make it home on a road trip, and I did not want to have myself go down that road again. No pun intended either. I need to get my glasses if I'm going to read comments. My vision is a little more blurry. It's blurred more than it's been. I don't know. But sitting down, I mean, I have to sit for a little bit because my head was all over, like spinning all over the place. Let me get my glasses so I can read the comments. But I'll do it very, very, very slowly, not to, you know, not trying to cause any more problems. Now I got to find out where I just have my glasses. I was just in the middle of reading the ECG. I just was looking at yeah, I got another ECG. How about that? You know, welcome to the club, huh? Now I got a bunch of them. All right. Oh, here they are, right here on my desk or my table, my kitchen. Oh. Trying to put this on there. My arm's a little sore too. I got everything happening. Like I'm dealing with like vampires and everything has just happened at once, you know. Not literally vampires. I just like when everybody sticks a needle in you and they're doing it some kind of whenever there's an intravenous thing, and they're, you know, you got fluids going in, fluids going out. I think about vampires. I can't help it. I think about vampires. Damn, I grabbed the wrong bottle of water. I was supposed to. Don't know what's wrong with me. I can't win. I try to. You know, I don't like having medication. I don't like having, you know, it's bad enough that I take lisinopril hydrochlorothiazide, right? Which is a ACE inhibitor. And due to my bradycardia, my reduced heart rate, I cannot take beta blockers because that would be asking for trouble. If you're in the medical field, you'll know exactly what I mean about asking for trouble. Bradycardia and beta blockers, bad combination. So I have limited choices of what kind of blood pressure medication that I can take to reduce the risks of the dangers that come with an extended, period of high blood pressure, hypertension, uncontrolled hypertension, strokes and heart attacks on the list, kidney damage, liver damage. A lot of things can happen because of high blood pressure. You can go blind. You can lose your eyesight. My eyesight's a lot blurrier now than it used to be. It just takes a toll on your body because it's a higher pressure, okay? I'm not on lisinopril, only aspirin and magnesium. All right, I'm gonna read some comments. Beta blockers are for people with irregular heartbeat. Yeah, absolutely. And it can also, beta blockers can be used for controlling blood pressure. There's many things that could be used for. Unfortunately, irregular heartbeat could be the electrical issue with the heart, where your heart's beating too slow, which would be considered bradycardia. There's tachycardia. There's two different versions. You have your heart could go fast, right? Now with bradycardia, your heart is going below 60 beats per minute. And some say under 50, depends on what medical field, what opinion you're getting. My heart rate goes down to about 38 to 40. It's my resting heart rate. And there's times when my heart will start fluttering, atrial flutter. It starts to, it's all over the place. It's quivering, basically. The muscles are quivering. There's electrical issue that's happening that's causing this quivering where the heart rate all of a sudden starts to shoot up and the heart chamber is pumping out of sync, and when it pumps out of sync, it's quivering, it's fluttering, and that's a bad environment because blood can pool in the heart and can cause blood clots, can increase the risk of a stroke, a heart attack. And unfortunately, I deal with bradycardia, but I exercise a lot. So my cardiologist has been just telling me it's because I am fit, that I exercise. But like I said, don't ever put all your faith into doctors because they're not God. They don't know everything. They don't know everything. You gotta practice your due diligence. You know what I mean? You have to, dig deep into things. Get second opinions. Get answers from other doctors. Don't just take one doctor's word for it as he's God or she's God and leave it at that. So, having, those issues with your heart, it's like you get an ablation, they go up with a electronic device, which basically is it's like taking a little electricity and zapping something and burning something, cauterizing. It's where you can take flesh or nerves and burn them. All right, so if you're having electrical signals in your heart that are misfiring, well, now you can go up in there and burn and cause a blockage of those signals to prevent misfiring, which leads to atrial flutter, atrial defibrillation. It's causing your heart to just, like I said, quiver, beat out of sequence. Blood has to, your heart has to work in symmetry as far as how it pumps. It's all got a rhythm. It's got that rhythm. And things have to happen at the right time. Nothing, if anything goes out of sync, that's when things go bad. You're pumping blood, it has to have the proper rhythm, and it's a balanced rhythm. Now, there's different rhythms of your heart rate, and then of course your the pattern that your heart is beating. Now, some people, you may have these beats that are skipping, you know. Stress and anxiety can trigger, a change in your heart rate. And if you have any pre-existing conditions, that could also lead to atrial flutter, perceived as skipped beats that you could feel in your chest, palpitations of your heart, you know. And when you're having these episodes where, stress and anxiety can trigger a cardiac event, the symptoms you're having could be a wide variety of different things. Feeling lightheaded, feeling cold and clammy, feeling like the world is just spinning and you're just trying to walk and everything's just going all over the place. And then you have referred pain where, the pain is not felt in the actual location that it is, but it's being referred to somewhere else in your body in common spots. It could be your left arm. It could be your shoulders, your neck, your chest, your stomach. That referred pain could be anywhere, When you live and you've survived 25 years of high blood pressure and you're taking medication for 25 years, and I don't think anybody's ever lived a perfect life where everything is just peaches and cream and everything is stress-free. We all deal with stress on a regular basis. Some days it's maybe zero stress. It's accumulative. It could be a day where you have a little stress and a day where you have a lot of stress. Now, I'm not here to be stressful. I'm here to be happy. I'm thankful I'm alive after what happened early this morning, before the sun even rose, before it was light outside. I'm dealing with one of the things that I was hoping I would never, ever deal with or be in, even cross paths with, because I've crossed that path before years ago. Rushing me to the hospital. You got to go here. You need to do this. I signed a waiver not to go because I didn't feel like it's like it came and gone. I was like, okay, I'm going home. I don't need the anxiety. When I got home, the support of friends and family kind of persuaded me to go back and go to the hospital and get checked out. And I'm glad that I took the advice of friends and family, because I went ahead and did that. And they found that I had a heart attack. And then here we go again. Why a day after Christmas? Well, not even, maybe a few hours after midnight, because Christmas is until midnight, right? So a few hours, it's like, what the hell? Let's see what's happening here. Too much stress. Yes, too much stress. Absolutely right. Your emotional well-being is very important. It goes along with your physical health. If you don't have both, then everything else is irrelevant in life. I mean, what is money? What is anything if you don't have your health? Now, I could go down this road here of, and I try not to be in this controversial kind of road or tread on political roads, but there were certain things I had to get done in order to see certain people in my life who were high risk for, complications if they even got the flu or COVID or whatever, And I'm all about natural things. I don't believe in taking synthetic medication. I don't want to be on blood pressure medicine. I don't want to be on this lisinopril hydrochlorothiazide. No. I don't like it. I don't. You know, that stuff is derived from snake venom, believe it or not. Lisinopril is derived from snake venom. You heard that right. If you haven't heard that before, and you've heard it from me now, my blood pressure medicine comes from the venom of a snake. Okay, well, I guess in a way that's natural, maybe. You know what I'm saying? And all right, so you have lisinopril hydrochlorothiazide. So the hydrochlorothiazide is a diuretic. That makes you have to pee a lot because it's flushing out the excess fluid, because the volume of your blood is increased when you're retaining more fluid. And some of the things responsible for fluid retention is excessive consumption of sugar and salts, especially sodium in your blood. Causes your body to retain more fluids. Or if you have any kind of kidney problems, that also can lead to that. So the hydrochlorothiazide, I am saying my mind went all over the place. It's all over the place. Hydrochlorothiazide. Let's get it right. Let's get it right. I'm gonna smack myself in the face and wake me up a little bit. I'm still a little, I don't know. Yeah. So I got some snake poison and a diuretic all in one. Wow, what a happy cocktail we take every day. Now, take it out for 25 years. You think, what is it doing to your body? Can we go 100% natural and see what happens? There's times I stopped taking it. There was times where I stopped taking lisinopril, hydrochlorothiazide. I just stopped. I didn't go cold turkey because I wasn't that crazy. I gradually decreased the dosage. Then I stopped for about 2-3 months. My blood pressure, it didn't seem like it really changed much when I was off it. Really wasn't that much of a difference. But it seemed like towards the end of the couple of months is when I saw it increase. I'm like, well, maybe I better get back on it. It's going up. Then it could have been things in my life that were just increasing the stress levels, and that could have just been the effect of that itself. It says it doesn't matter how good how much you exercise. When God call you, it is your time, no matter what. I would get sick if I stopped mine. Headache are the worst. Oy vey. Let's see. Leslie Murphy, this is the first time having COVID-19. Yeah, I'm telling you what, it's like I've had COVID like 4 times already. 4 times I've had this COVID. And I can't tell the difference between having COVID or an allergy. The other day I had some sniffles. I'm like, oh, here we go. Allergies, I guess. I'm like, I'm out raking the yard, doing stuff outside, and I just feel like I have allergies. I'm like, what the hell's going on? My throat's itching, my nose is running. I'm like, I got mucus coming up out of my throat. I'm like, what am I dealing with now? Allergies in the winter, okay? I'm like, what? Let's see, who else is here? Do you want to be friends? I started taking the pill because it caused me. Eesh. All right. Doesn't matter. Let's see, who else is here? We got Mary out here. Mary, Leslie Murphy, Blue Tulips, prayers for you. Thank you so much. Peter, who else is here? We got Mary. Take it to 20 years. Mamma mia, Mary. We got Joyful. We got Tammy Smale. I totally agree about the pills. I'm telling you. Who else we got? Linda. So sorry. I'm telling you, Linda, it's one of the things, living alone, it could be depressing and sad. And I think what happens when you live alone, your mind has more time to go places you don't want it to go. Like you start worrying about this, you start worrying about that. You just worry a lot. And I was worrying about my health and having health anxiety so much. Leslie Murphy, thank you so much. Leslie Murphy, HTD for life. Thank you for being a member for 18 months. 18 months. Love the videos rolling from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. How's the weather out there in Ontario? I have some friends who live out there. they're like family to me in Ontario. Well, they're in Toronto. Well, Ontario, Toronto. Oh, man. Did you check calcium on heart? Well, there was some blood work done, had IV hooked up. Uh, I had a 12 lead ECG connected to me. Good thing that it was a 12 lead. 12 leads more accurate. It was kind of like, it's almost like, I don't know. I've had this experience in the past, but when you get older, it's worse because then you're like, oh, well, can I handle this the same way I was able to handle this, 15 years ago? Can I? Am I going to get out of this? Is there going to be long-term effects? Is this opening a door? It just, the anxiety that I was feeling, it's overwhelming because it's like, okay, is this it? What am I feeling? Do I do anything? Do I ignore it? Do I drive to the doctors? Do I drive to the emergency room? Do I call for an ambulance? Like, what do I do? And me being stubborn. You know how I am. It's like, I start to, I deny that I'm like, oh, it can't be. Maybe it's heartburn. Maybe it's this. Maybe I'm just, having maybe a little bit more of a powerful atrial flutter. Maybe this is taking it to another level. Maybe it's because I was working out and I was doing more push-ups and lifting up heavier weights. I was working out last night and the night before, and I was pushing myself a little harder because, it was like I got caught up in doing a lot of things around the house, and it was like crappy weather outside. I didn't have much time to walk and get my exercise. So I feel like I overcompensated for that by, let me just work extra hard on the weights. Let me work extra hard doing push-ups. Let me just, when I started walking, when the skies cleared up, I started running like I was in a marathon. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna run. You know what? I got to make up for losing all those steps. So my anxiety of not getting enough exercise, not getting enough step because the weather was not participating. It was precipitating, but not participating with whatever. The weather was just not cooperating with my plans. It was just not cooperating with my plans. And so I tried to do a workaround, and I have the anxiety. If a day goes by, I didn't have my 15 to 20K steps, I'm having extreme anxiety, and that's not healthy emotionally, mentally. And so I'll go work out in my back room there, lifting weights, push-ups. Then I'll actually jog through the house. I'll literally jog through the house. And there's times where I actually did run because it was raining. I was like, I don't feel like walking in the rain. It's unpleasant. It's not, I'm trying to be happy. And so I'll jog in the rain thinking I might, run between the raindrops. And then I'll end up running because then the rain gets heavier and then I'm running faster, which probably doesn't make any, it doesn't help matters, does it? I was ICU, died twice, now on oxygen until I get better. Linda from Nevada, glad it's curable. Lost my husband from lung cancer. Mamma mia. My condolences to you. I'm 51 years old, have no insurance, but I have sharp pains in my chest at times. With me, it was like I had this pain. It just felt like somebody was taking their thumb and pressing it right in the center of my chest, right? It just pressing it there. And then my left arm, which it seemed like a typical thing, my left arm was hurting, but then I was thinking, it's probably because I was lifting weights. And I did have an arm injury in my left arm years ago. And I did pull a muscle and tore some tendons. So my muscle's deformed in my left arm. When I do a curl on my, bicep curl, my muscle is deformed compared to my right bicep because I never had it repaired. It was like the surgery was going to cost a lot of money. I didn't have health insurance at the time. And this was back in 2013, I think it was, or 2012 when I tore that muscle in my left bicep. And I heard it rip. I was bending down, pulling a carpet, and I guess I had my arm stretched too much and there was weight on the carpet. And I heard it go, and I felt my arm just flutter. And I look at and my arm, and I'm like, son of a bitch, and it was hurting. It was hurting, and the muscle just like bunched up into a small ball. And so there's times where I feel pain in my left arm for years because of that. So when I felt it this time, like, it's got to be, maybe I pushed, too much weights on it because I can't. I got it. I was like, it's more challenging to do the same amount of reps on my left arm than it is my right. So I try to balance things out, but my left arm gets caught, lagging behind because of that injury in the past. So I have less muscle fiber attached to help pull the weight. So between the feeling of tightness, like in my chest, and then my arm, and then my stomach just felt crampy and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then my heart's like, all of a sudden, it's like, I don't know if it's the anxiety that I had, from thinking, oh my God, what's going on? Or it was what was happening was already the thing, and the anxiety didn't trigger anything. But then my heart was going, and then I was like, I felt like when I was kneeling down. This is just a comparison. It's like kneeling down and getting up too fast after holding your breath for as long as you can. You just feel lightheaded, and you feel like you're getting tunnel vision, where the peripheral vision starts to get darker, where everything is getting dark around you, like around the outside of your eyesight, and you're feeling numb and lightheaded, and then you're feeling this pain. And then you could feel your heart doing weird stuff. You could feel it like all over the place. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I said, I hope this isn't, serious. So I had a precaution, like, yeah, so go to the doctors, find out what's going on. Me not making a big deal of it the whole time, but I was like, I'm going to go to the doctor. I need to see I need to tell them what's happening. Need to go. Well, that's where things got worse, because when I went there after making that phone call, which I'm glad that it happened a day after, because I don't even think they were going to be open yesterday. Maybe the hospital would have been. I'll call my physician, and if you go there, then they're like, oh, well, you need to go to the emergency room. And this is the kind of situation I get caught up in, right? Because I don't overreact. Maybe because I think it's self-preservation of, like, you don't want to cause yourself more harm by overreacting to something you're feeling with, going on in your body. So if you feel something and that could resemble a heart attack, and you don't want to, like, start panicking, because then that could cause it to happen worse, or your body could be craving more oxygen, because as you're panicking, now you're creating an environment where your body's going to want more oxygen. And if your heart's already struggling because of it being either out of rhythm, having your heart could be in that AFib, and you're just not getting the blood flow, and then you start feeling the pain of what they would call angina. And angina is no joke, when your heart starts to struggle like that. And you just try to be calm. And knowing that I eat healthy, I exercise, I take care of myself, I didn't want to get too caught up in the emotion of, oh, shit, I'm having a heart attack. What the hell do I do? Let me call an ambulance. Like, calling an ambulance, panicking, freaking out. I feel like that in itself is going to like aggravate the whole situation that's unfolding. And it's like, yeah, I felt lightheaded. I felt maybe it's not a good idea to drive. So me, thank God that I have great people who moved in the neighborhood, because I didn't want to make a big thing about it. So I'm like, well, driving is one thing. So I do end up driving, but I'm not the one behind the wheel, if you get what I'm saying. So instead of taking an ambulance, I'm driving. I'm in a car. I walk to my neighbors. And of course, walking to neighbors is like an eighth of a mile away, which, it's like this. During something like that, it's either I get in my car and just drive to my neighbors and take that chance, or walk. And I thought it was better if I just walked, because then a part of me is like, let me walk. If I feel better by the time I get there, then I'm just not going to prioritize this. I'm just going to, let's continue on with the day. False alarm. And I guess in the back of my mind, I was wishful thinking, because I get stubborn. It's like, I don't know what's happening. I need to find out what's happening. But then I get in denial and I just start walking. I walk to my neighbors. I call them up. It says, are you home? It says, I might need a ride to the doctor's, but I'm afraid to drive because I'm lightheaded. And they said, come on over. Basically, at first, it's like, well, we'll come over and pick you up. I'm like, well, I'm going to walk just to make sure I'm okay. And when I get to your house and it's, or if anything happens on the way there, whatever, and they insisted that they said, well, come on over. But I didn't want to inconvenience them, because even if I had to get in the car, I mean, even though it's an eighth of a mile away, them having to get in the car, and then they get to the house, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know. I feel better now. I'm okay. And then I don't like to be that person. So it's like, I'm a people pleaser kind of person, like, especially with friends and neighbors. And, I don't want to inconvenience anybody. And I don't want to be that person who's going to be an annoyance. So I end up putting myself in a situation where, okay, well, I'll walk there. If I make it there, fine. And I still feel like I need to go to the doctors or go to the hospital, whatever it is, then at that point, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, we really need to go. So I get stubborn. It's my nature. And that's just how I am. I get it. I guess it's part of me denying, because I'm like, oh, there's no way I eat healthy. There's no way I'm having a heart attack. And then your mind's like, well, maybe it's the same thing I always deal with, but on a different level. Maybe because of the holiday stress that I'm dealing with, living alone, just hoping that I can have that holiday experience with someone, and not feel like I'm nobody that's disappeared off the face of the earth during the holidays. I had those very sad, depressing thoughts, thinking to myself, wow, why am I here? Why did I put myself in a situation where I'm living alone during the holidays, where those times, the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, especially Christmas, I love to give, the gift giving and just giving my heart during the holidays. It was a great thing, seeing smiles on faces just for a gift, no matter how big or small a gift was. But I tried to go big on gifts, because part of me just thought the bigger the gift, it just meant more from me, considering my past where I used to make good money. So when I made really good money years ago, before the pandemic, I was very generous with gift giving, and I created that. I guess maybe in my mind, I thought it was an expectation that I had to keep up with, that if I had given gifts to that caliber, that I had to keep doing gift giving at that caliber. And if I went below that, then I feel like someone might think that I don't love them as much anymore, because I downsized gifts, dramatically. And I overthink these things. There's a lot. I feel like a lot of what I'm dealing with is me overthinking things, and that's the problem with me. Hold on a second. I taking this stupid damn thing off my arm. I can't stand those damn things wrapping up in them. I feel like my arms circulation is getting cut off. Whew. Yeah. I guess maybe I overthink things. I think I get too critical about that stuff. And so this is a Christmas where I'm far away from those who I used to celebrate Christmas with. There's lack of communication. There's the isolation. There's the distance. There's the holiday. And then there's like me missing the holiday cheer spreading with everybody. Like I'm not about always, I like to give during the holidays. I'm not like expecting anybody to give me anything. Although it would be nice to hear from somebody to see if they're doing well, or, and spread the love of the holiday. It's not about the gifts. And it's a blessing to have good friends and people in my life who don't live too far away, but still I have my neighbors who live an eighth of a mile away, which is a blessing. They moved in recently, and it's like they became good friends. It's amazing how some things just work out that way. It was like they invited me over for Christmas Day. They know I live alone, and I've helped them with things when they needed help. I've went there and helped them install microwave and appliances, and helped them with electrical stuff, and watched over their house when they were in need of that. And there's like two people that I was looking after houses for, my new neighbors and a friend of mine who lives all the way about probably an hour and a half south of here. So, I was busy. I was like a house sitter. I really was. I was a house sitter, to some point there. And so I made some good friends. And then one of my friends invited me to that Christmas dinner the night before Christmas because they know that I live alone. And, I'm thankful that I have friends who worry about me living alone and, invite me to a party, or dinner, knowing that, feeling bad that I'm going to be alone for the Christmas holiday, But it's like the heart grows stronger as we separate ourselves from, I guess, the expectations of the holiday cheer and togetherness with everybody. I've been separated from that for a whole year now, and it's been heartbreaking. And I don't mean that literally, although having a heart attack is kind of like your heart's breaking, because every time you have a heart attack, you're increasing the chances of having another heart attack or a stroke. The likelihood is increased, unfortunately, because now you have scars. You have damage. Depends on how long your heart was in that state of stress. How long was oxygen deprived of the heart muscle, and how much of an area was compromised. If too much is compromised, then there's a bigger problem. And one thing that I know is going to end up happening, which unfortunately, it's better than nothing. I'm going to have to get a pacemaker. The option is either a pacemaker, or they could do a procedure where they can do ablation, where they could actually zap the electrical circuit in my heart to prevent irregular rhythms, any kind of arrhythmias that could trigger a heart attack due to the lack of oxygen being pumped, or cause a clot. And the feeling in itself can create the level of anxiety which could be a chain reaction effect. And the ECG that I had done indicated that I was having a heart attack, which then, of course, the doctor visit ended up being a referral to the emergency room, which made my day just so wonderful. A wonderful day in Bobby's life. My neighbors, I go to walk to my neighbors. They take me to the doctors. I'm being as calm as I can. Just want to find out, what's going on. Maybe I, get a referral to my cardiologist for some other, options and plans. And maybe we can work out, something to address the ongoing issues, because this is not the first time I've dealt with a heart attack. I've had one in the past, but I think when I was younger, I didn't have as much anxiety because I figured oh, I'm younger, I could. But when you're in your 50s, you think, oh gosh, you have a heart attack, that's it, it's over, game over. But a part of me, like I said, I wasn't accepting the reality that it could be a heart attack. I'm just thinking it could be me working out too hard the night before and the day before that. And, it was just maybe me having the stress of the holidays and just living alone, and things didn't work out with the Christmas dinner the night before Christmas. And so I was stressed about that, and I drove for nothing, and it was heartbreaking because I was invited and I felt like it was a big letdown. And it was a very nice moment yesterday, visiting my neighbors, bringing over some food, getting together. They had some ham. And I don't eat ham because of the sodium. I don't touch sodium because, ham can have 500 to 1,100 milligrams of sodium per serving. Especially country ham, forget about it. That's the saltiest ham in the world. Besides prosciutto di Parma. So I brought some turkey over. I cooked up some turkey, some sweet potato casserole, and I made some of my oat bran muffins with the raisins, and they love that stuff. I've made it before. I brought some muffins over, and they just like, can you bring some of that over? It was really good because for Thanksgiving I went there, and so they loved my sweet potato casserole and the muffins. So I was like, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna bring some turkey this time. And so they had the ham on the table, and the greens and everything, and the reason why I ended up bringing a turkey, because they invited me for the hams. Like, well, I don't eat ham because I got to be careful about my sodium. So I bought the turkey that I had. And I shared it with them, of course. I shared the turkey, even though I bought it because I was, I was invited for dinner, and I told them, they said, we're having ham, and they said they're not sure if that's something I can eat. And I says, yeah, I haven't eaten ham in years because has a lot of sodium, and I can't because of my blood pressure. So she said, well, you're welcome to bring something with you, but we have other things. And then so I was going to have other things to eat, and I said, well, I'll bring some turkey. So I cooked up a turkey, and it was great. As you know, I was like putting meals together. So it was like making a big, happy kind of a family meal, with my neighbors. And I got a little daring, and the ham looked really good. So, against my better judgment, I ended up having a pretty decent sized slice of the ham. It was so good. I haven't had it in years. It was like a honey ham. And so I was thinking, well, if it's honey ham, it's not going to have as much sodium as like country ham, right? So I enjoyed that with some asparagus and some of my turkey and the stuffing and the cranberry sauce and the muffins that I made and the sweet potato casserole that I made. It was a beautiful sit down with everybody. We sat together, we ate, the Christmas and, just decorations in their house. It felt like I was experiencing Christmas. It was like a blessing, I enjoyed that time. I stayed a couple hours, went back home. Of course, it was dark when I started going home, but at least I could walk in the dark, carrying food for an eighth of a mile walk. Later that night, I noticed my heart was racing really fast and I was thirsty. And I kept having to relieve my bladder. And I'm thinking, oh, it's probably the ham. It's like, shame on me, it's the ham. Of course, I had to have the ham. I should not have eaten the ham. And here I am, like every 20 minutes, I'm telling you. Normally it's every 45 minutes to an hour. But this time it was every 20 minutes I was getting up to relieve my bladder. Then I was like so thirsty, my mouth was dry, and I was drinking water. Then 20 minutes later, peeing out the water, drinking more water. My heart's going boom, 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 boom. I'm like, never again am I eating ham. As much as I like the taste of it and I haven't had it for years, I can't do it again. And it was kind of like you live once. It's the holiday, make an exception for today. As much as I want to kind of live by that, I cannot afford to do that ever again. Because what if eating that ham and increasing my blood pressure because of the sodium content, what if that was a contributor to what happened with my heart at around 4:35 in the morning? At a point where I'm like afraid to even call my neighbors that early. So of course, I'm playing the waiting game, the wait and see approach. Let me wait and see what happens. Let me drink some water. Let me take some deep breaths. All right, okay. Maybe this is, the pain from working out and, working out too hard and maybe having indigestion. I did eat some things I didn't like normally eat last night and all that. And I'm just thinking of things, and about an hour goes by and I'm like, still feeling this tightness, and my arm is hurting, my stomach is feeling sore. And then I was starting to feel like my flank and my back, like my right side flank and my left, they were both like sore. I'm like, oh, well, that's probably from my push-ups, So I'm thinking all this is from working out. And then I think maybe God was telling me, Bobby, go to the doctors now. And then I end up messaging my neighbor. Then I end up calling after I message, because me, I message first. If I don't hear anything, I call. But at that time, it was reasonable time because they get up by the crack of dawn. I mean, they get up and it's just getting daylight. So I didn't want to call nobody at 4 a.m. And I was going to go drive myself, but I wanted to be responsible. And I didn't want to put anybody else's life at risk by me being behind the wheel, even though I would be in a car that's capable of self-driving, which I can no longer maintain keeping due to the cost of maintaining the insurance is high. A lot of things is why I got to sell it. And unfortunately, when I sell it, I'm going to be upside down, which means I'm going to still owe money, but at least it's not going to be a whole entire full car payment, which I ended up getting into, which I'd rather not even get into that whole thing about all that, because we're not here about that. But yeah, it was the other day I was actually sharing with you. I was out there raking the yard and everything. I was working pretty hard, raking leaves and everything, and allergies were driving me nuts. And so part of me was just thinking, because of me raking the yard, I was doing a lot of running and jogging more than usual, lifting weights more than usual. My body's just telling me, hey, it's all the aches and pains of overexertion, and here I am now. Normally I'd be walking around the house, but please understand, that I was told to rest for a couple days. So this is going to create anxiety because I really want to be able to go out and do my nightly jogs, my nightly walks, my daily routine. And now I got to chill out in the house. I'm going to go stir crazy. I mean, I could walk to my neighbors next door, but I don't really like, after I am in a doctor's office inside for a long time, because it's like this. We know what's going around. It's cold and flu season. And my neighbors are about 15 years older than me, 15, 20 years older than me. And so I don't want them to be introduced to anything that can get them sick because I don't want it on my conscience, And they wanted to go in with me, but in that situation, it was like they were going to have to be in the waiting room. And I was like, no, don't worry, just stay in the car. No sense of going in the doctor's office and you get exposed to something and you get sick. And, right now, it's cold and flu season and God knows what else is going around. I was like, I got this. I was like so thankful. It's like, if you want to go back home and I'll call you back, call her when the time is right, when I need to be picked up. Because I didn't want an inconvenience. I didn't want anybody waiting out in the car. I just didn't want to. It's like, I got this. Just wanted to not have anybody be potentially exposed to getting sick. Especially, when they're older. So I didn't want that to be an issue. So, of course, me being in a doctor's office, of course, when I got out, I put on a face mask. Just out of being cautious so that I don't get my neighbor sick. They're like family to me, but I don't want to get anybody sick. So sadly, I'm not going to be able to visit them for probably a few days to make sure I don't have anything that's contagious. After that, it's all good. But here I am. I survived another heart incident. I'd rather not say the other word. Let's just call it a heart rhythm incident or heart incident. Heartbreak, maybe, if you want to call it that, but a real one. My ECG's is in there. I looked over it. I'm like, all that healthy cooking that I was doing, and all the healthy eating. I'm telling you right now, I'm thinking, here we are again in this boat. I feel like if I wasn't eating healthy over the years, and I wasn't doing the things that I've been doing to stay as healthy as I can, even though my mental health is compromised due to my health anxieties and living alone and having trust issues and all that combined, I feel like I wouldn't be here after what happened early before the sun rose today. I feel like that could have been the last heart attack. That could have been it, or whatever you want to call it. I don't like those words. I just like to say maybe heart malfunction. Let's leave it at that. So this malfunction of the heart happens early in the morning. Of course, early in the morning, it's more likely that our blood pressure is going to be much higher. So the chances of a stroke and heart attack are much higher in the morning. So it's like, that's a hell of a way to wake up, You get up to relieve your bladder, and it turns into a whole other situation. But I'm just glad, I know it's called a heart attack, but I don't like saying ATTACK because that I'm doing a live stream on a platform that's called YouTube, and YouTube's algorithm is so I don't know. It's so picky sometimes. And it might misinterpret that word that I'm saying if I say it too much. And it might think that I'm talking about a word of VIOLENCE, a word of, you know, say you got a BOMB falling from the sky and we're under 18, it might think it means something to do with WAR or, casualties, whatever. I can't. I've been doing YouTube for way long that I know how that algorithm works. And if you say certain words too many times, it's kind of like YouTube just cuts off your communication pathway to the world. And then you fall down somewhere in the hole and disappear, and your YouTube channel dies even more. I don't even want to say the word die. I can't even say that. Watch how many times I say that word. So yeah, I know what it is. You know what it is, but I don't like to say it because of the YouTube bots that think that I'm saying another word, and it's not associated with the heart. It's associated with people and their Second Amendment and disagreements and all the other things I don't even want to get into. Oh, man. What happened? Hey, Elizabeth, just what happened was I overindulged on something I should not have eaten last night or yesterday evening when I was invited to a Christmas dinner. I had ham. I'm not saying that the ham, I'm responsible for whatever I put in my mouth. So if I eat the ham, it's my fault. I don't never blame anybody. I don't blame anybody who made the ham. If I decide to eat the ham, even though I brought turkey over there, it's on me. So no one should ever feel bad because I ate the ham and then I'm having this heart palpitation and dry mouth, and I'm constantly like relieving my bladder and drinking a lot of water, and just felt like my heart was racing for a couple hours. It was like it happened about an hour after I ate the ham. That's where it started happening. It lasted a couple hours. And so I ended up going for a very long walk at night. I was like, oh, maybe I need to walk. Maybe it's my body telling me something. Maybe because when I was there, I ate a meal, had the ham, had my turkey, had everything on the table. Then we sat down for a couple hours in the living room, and we were just conversing. And when I eat, I don't sit down after I eat. After I'm done eating, I'm on my feet, and I'm walking. I might be doing something in the house, or I'll be walking in the neighborhood. But I never, ever sit down, especially for 2 hours. So I feel like me sitting down for that long period of time after eating has caused my blood sugar to elevate because of the sweet potato casserole that I made and then other foods that, have carbohydrates like the stuffing and the raisins and, that are in the stuffing. And just everything you eat, your food, the food's going to make your body, have more sugar, and you're going to, your body's going to be producing more glucose. You're going to be, in that state of higher sugar content in your blood. So sitting down is going to make that even worse. Standing, walking, working out, mild. You don't want to go crazy like jogging and running after eating because you want to have blood flow to your stomach. You don't want to divert all your blood flow away from your stomach, and then you're going to get stomach cramps. You want to do walking or staying on your feet, doing things where you're not, the last thing you want to do is sit down after a big meal, especially, And that was what I did. I sat down because it was a social thing. It was us together. It was not like everybody, it's not like everybody was going to go, it's not like we were all going to go for a walk after eating. It was like, have a seat, and it'd be time for dessert. And that's another thing. I normally don't eat sweets. but my neighbors made some Polish cookies, which are really, really good. And they were tiny like this. And I'm like, man, those are good. So I had two of them, and I was like, they are pretty good. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna do a lot of walking. Then I had another two, you know. But maybe the sugar in the cookies, between that and the ham, is responsible for my heart going crazy because I didn't have time to walk it off. And in an hour after eating, I can feel my heart pounding, and I'm getting thirsty, and I'm still there, and I'm feeling that, But I am just really not thinking much of it because I know that's normal for me. Like, if I sit down after eating a big meal, my heart does that. And so I've learned not to do that. And I knew that I was already anticipating, okay, I ate a meal, I had a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to walk, and I know what's going to happen. I'm going to sit down after my body starts processing and digesting the food, and reality hits, and my blood sugar starts to spike up. I know I'm going to start to feel the effect of it. My vision's going to start to blur more. My heart's going to start pounding more, and I'm going to be thirsty, and that's where it started. And then an hour after that, I went home, and then I got some water. Then my heart was still pounding. I decided it was time to go for a walk at night, because that 1/8 of a mile walk wasn't really enough. Wasn't enough to shake it. So that's kind of where it is. If you guys made it here, smash that like button. You're amazing. It's a blessing to be here today after a Christmas day. This Christmas was more special than last Christmas because there were two things that happened. I was invited to one of my good friends' Christmas dinners the night before Christmas, which meant a lot to me, just being invited, knowing that I was thought of, knowing that someone called me, messaged me, wanted me to come over for a dinner. They knew that I live alone. They were thinking about me, and that was a blessing, and I'm so thankful for that. So I went there, and you know what? My Apple Watch was sending me alerts. I have alerts on my Apple Watch, and it was telling me, it actually sent that there was a irregular rhythm. It's crazy. I saw my Apple Watch, my freaking watch, but right now it's doing something else. But it did. And I've had it do that before, like after jogging. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it's, the watch does this crap, to the point where it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. But yeah, my watch was doing that. And so I blew it off because it's done it before, and it usually does it when I exert myself a lot. And it's like, all right, well, this watch is a couple years old. I can't put it, it's not a 100% certified medical device. But, I mean, it will tell you your heart rate. And it does have that setting in there. I have everything in there. As a matter of fact, every day I'm looking at how many steps I get. I look at my my O2 level is, because the watch can sense your O2 level, which is pretty cool because it does have a light that emits light, so it can read the color of your blood determines the oxygen level in your blood. So, look at it that way. The more bluish, the less oxygen. So the more red, the more oxygen. So it knows based on light reflection and color and opacity and all that shit. And it actually can see the blood flow as well, which is pretty cool. The way it senses, it's like a little optic sensor. And, it sends a light emitting diode, and it emits the light, and is able to read those parameters, your pulse and everything. And it does a little bit of calculations to figure out other things about your health. but most of it is just calculations. It's not actual. To get an accurate EKG or ECG, you need to have leads attached to different parts of your body, preferably 12 leads, and get different electrical measurements across certain pathways. And that way you get the most accurate. So basically, for the Apple Watch, it's more of a heart rhythm detector than it is an ECG, because it's not really getting the true picture. But it's enough to give you a general idea what's happening. So that's how that technology is. It's just generalization of what's going on. But you can use that as a guidance, to further investigate. This can give you a reason to look into something with equipment that is certified, medically to assess something that's going on with your body. But yeah, I do have all those apps on my Apple Watch. It was just a lot of that was just with the watch. So it's great to have, and it keeps tabs on things. So it's kind of like it's an eye that looks out. It's another eye that looks out for you. But it's definitely not a medical device that's going to do what a medical device is supposed to do. It's just something that can give you a warning of a potential. I look at it this way, potential, because it's not going to be accurate, but it's enough to point out a potential problem. So, that's kind of how that goes with that. My hand is numb. It's like the blood circulation. It's like I can't even, my fingers are like, I need to stand up. I just need to stand up a little bit. My blood flow, I need some blood flow going on here. Holy crap. I'm just not going to be running a marathon in the house. I need to get more water. I've kind of run out. Well, I got a little bit left, but I need more. Hitting the bottle. Water bottles, that is. Your hands do the same thing. It sucks, I tell you. But I know it has a lot to do with, your vascular system, your blood vessels. Let's see what we got here. Christina, we've got Jace. Why the hell would they let you go home, huh? Aren't they supposed to observe you? I went over to the doctors, and they sent me to the hospital. And thing is, I've been down this road before where they have a suggestion and you have a choice, but you have to sign a waiver. You have to sign a release form that doesn't hold them liable. Basically, you have to sign yourself out if you don't want to stay overnight, especially if you don't have enough coverage to stay overnight, because the hospital stay is expensive overnight. And having the fears and anxieties and not knowing, but then also feeling better while already leaving the doctor's office and feeling like, okay, well, this is behind me. So why, I already had an ECG done at the doctor's. Now they refer me to the hospital because they said, well, you're having a heart attack. And I'm like, well, I'm not feeling as bad as I did this morning when I got up. So then when I go there, here we are again, 12 lead, we're ECG. I'm getting jabbed with, getting poked with a needle and blood. And it's like IVs. I'm like, okay. Yeah. What's going on here now? And, one of the things they did say that I was, slightly dehydrated. What the hell? Yeah. So when you're in a situation where if they say, we want to hold you overnight, I've been in that situation where I had to sign a release because I didn't want to stay overnight. And it was my choice because I wasn't incapacitated mentally. I was fully aware of what's going on. It was just something happening with my body. And I had that choice to make. And for them to free themselves from that responsibility, you got to sign a waiver, sign a release. It's how it is, I don't want to stay at a doctor's overnight. Now, if I felt like if I was in this dire need, like at that moment still, like if I was like, if it was something happening in the moment and it was, oh, I definitely have to stay overnight. This is like my life's on the line. But I feel like the worst that I felt was before the sun started to rise. And then the rest of it was getting to the doctors. And then the ECG comes back that I'm having a heart attack. My rhythm was irregular, but then it stabilized. My O2 levels were normal. They wanted me to go to the hospital. I didn't want to go because I was starting to feel better after being there. But a part of me is like, well, what if this is the calm before the storm? What if what I felt was only the beginning of what could be worse? So when I went to the doctors, it's like I started feeling even, the hospital, I started feeling even better and better. So I was like, Part of me is like, I just want to go home. I don't want to be here. My anxieties were getting the best of me. If they can, I'm in a hospital, people are here, they're sick, there's viruses going around, the flu's going around. I still want to complicate things more. Like I said, I have those anxieties. So I was like, what do I do? And I was like, you know what? My health insurance does cover a hospital visit, but there is a copay. But this is an emergency situation. So I'll be on the hook for a certain amount, but it's not going to be the whole thing. And I was also referred from my doctor, and so my doctor's in network. So when I have a referral from my primary physician, then the insurance covers things that are referred from my doctor. So then I'm like under the doctor's direction. So then insurance covers things that are referred because I'm HMO. I'm not PPO, I'm HMO. PPO, you can, you don't need a referral. You just go to the doctors, whatever the hell that's in the network, and usually have a pretty extensive network. But I'm HMO, so I have to go to the doctors that are in the network and have to be referred by my primary physician for it to be covered by my insurance. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm back home, because I made the choice. They were suggesting, to do further testing, and they also want me to go to my cardiologist. So now I have an appointment, follow-up appointment with my cardiologist. And maybe this is God trying to tell me something, because I have a procedure that's coming up in the middle of January. And this procedure requires me to be under anesthesia. Now, we know the complications that can happen with anesthesia if you have any kind of kidney problems or heart problems. You don't want to tread down that road of anesthesia if your heart's if you're gonna have any issues with your heart that could put you at a risk for anything, very complicated. So, man, that's the situation. I don't know if I turn that on. Maybe I better sit back down. I'm starting to feel a little. I gotta pee really bad, but I can't. What do I do with the live stream, everyone? I have to go, but do I put my phone down somewhere in here and run to the bathroom and then we finish? Let me know, because I really have to go. Let me see. All right, so let me. I'm gonna mute this real quick. Use the bathroom. That way, you don't have to hear all that. Is this even capable of muting? I don't even know. Let me just leave this in the other room for a minute. I can't. I'm only taking a quick pee break. I'll be right back in a second. Gotta pee. Can't help it. It's uncontrollable urge to go. Be right back in a second. Oh, God. Oh. Okay, all right, I'm back. And yes, I washed my hands. Okay. I'm back. Oh, let's look at some Christmas lights while I'm walking away from the bathroom. How you like my tripod? If you haven't seen the tripod before, this is my Christmas spirit. You know, I almost became a spirit for Christmas, but at least I have the Christmas spirit. I'm not gonna let something like, you know, a situation with my heart cause me to lose my Christmas spirit. I mean, I actually have more Christmas spirit now because I'm thankful to be here. You know, every day that I'm awake, I am so thankful that, that I am given the gift of life. Even though I have a lot of things on my plate, a lot of things stressing me out, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of worries, a lot of financial issues that are leading me to possibly losing my home and moving into something smaller, and losing my car and having to still pay a loan on a car, but because I'll be upside down. A lot of things happening, but I can't let that destroy me. You know what I mean? I gotta be positive. And I could be certain that all this worrying is behind my heart problems that I'm dealing with lately. I've been feeling these atrial flutters more often than I have been in the probably, I say in the last few months, it's been more pronounced than it ever has been. And it seems to be triggered more by physical exercise and stress. But what I end up doing is when it happens, I take a deep breath and I just try to lower my blood pressure so that I don't let it cause this emotional cycle of, my anxieties. I got so used to it to the point where I blow it off a lot when I have certain things like that happening because I figure, this is my norm. For some people, if you're having like this atrial flutter, and it comes along with other symptoms such as feeling lightheaded or feeling like you're getting cold sweats or any other kind of sensation that just doesn't feel right, then that's a red flag. But I was so, you know, I guess, confused about what I'm feeling because of the series of events that have unfolded days leading to this heart episode, which I don't like. You guys know what I'm saying. I mean, I have the word in the title, but I think since it's associated with the heart, I think YouTube understands. But sometimes it picks up words, and I don't know if the system kind of scans randomly at words or if it actually scans everything in context, and understands what you're saying. I that's what I don't know. Let's see. I have text coming in here, but I gotta restart the text messages. Live chat. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I I can see the chats, but I can't. I don't know what's happening with the chats. Let's see. Super chat, live chat, top chat. Let's see. Okay, we've got Florentina. We have someone who's a member for a long time. I just can't see it. It's all jumbled up on my screen. It's all jumbled. I don't understand why it's jumbled up. It's like I can't see it. It's Murphy. It's like the name Murphy's in there, but I can't read it because it's all like scrumped up. I'll show you what I mean. It's it's hard to read it. I don't know what's going on. It looks like this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see what it looks like? It's all like it doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's what is going on with YouTube? All right. Get well soon. Thank you so much. Maybe I can see I think it says 18 months. Is that a member of 18 months? Let me go look here on my other computer. Maybe I could be able to read it because I can't see it. It's like all, it's weird how it is. Don't know. Let's go here and
I chose Wix for my business.
all right, let's see what we got here. Huh, I don't see it. That's so weird. Maybe it was a ghost chat or something. I got Florentina. How you doing? Emerald, what's happening? Who else? You're eating too much for breakfast. Heart overworking. Let's see. All right, yeah, I don't know. It was a ghost message. Well, I do have big breakfasts, but they are healthy. Most of it's vegetables, tomatoes, broccoli, a whole like generous serving of broccoli, you know. But I always feel good after I have breakfast. I don't feel my heart going all over the place. I am just convinced that because I went outside my norm, that I deviated from my normal routine and I ate ham, which I haven't had in years. And I feel like that may have contributed to that, and not walking after eating, sitting directly down after eating a big meal. You know, the times of year that I have the biggest meals are Thanksgiving and Christmas. So if anything's going to happen, it's going to be on those days where I have a big meal and don't walk it off, and my heart and my blood sugar is shooting up. But yeah, with those breakfasts, after I have a breakfast like that, I'm walking. I get up and I walk, and it's about 15 to 20,000 steps later that I'm home. And I stock up water bottles when I go on my walk. I'll have them in my pockets and then one in my hand. So, yeah. So yeah, those are my healthy breakfasts that keep me going. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so I got timed out for asking a question on a story I'm listening to that keeps changing. Mamma mia. I got timed for asking a question on a story. I don't know. Let me know what kind of story you got going on there. Let's see. Holidays are always. You see, I could see that right there. Is there something in the background happening, Florentina, when I'm sitting on the couch? Is there something there? Was there like a ghost or something? Because I don't want to talk about ghosts. What happened? Like, what happened when I'm sitting down? Is there something that happened behind me in the background? You saw a face that looks demonic in the background here? Anna, your heart caused your heart attack. You need different tests to narrow down the issue with your heart right now. You're overthinking everything. Well, I do have an echocardiogram coming up. See, I got an appointment with my cardiologist, so these are, maybe this is God telling me, that I need to do something before my procedure, because I have a procedure in the middle of January. And there's sedation, or there is, what do you call it? Now I just lost words for it. They put you to sleep. the hell was that word? Damn it. See, now I'm forgetting what, I feel like I'm having memory problems right now. It's like my mind is, I'm so stressed I'm forgetting what I'm saying. But I know what it means when they put IV in you and they put you to sleep. Anesthesia. Anesthesia. See, I'm having amnesia. I swear I'm forgetting stuff. I think it's the amount of stress because I've dealt with this before, something similar to this years ago. And we go into fight or flight mode. And it's sometimes a certain thing that happened in our lives in the past kind of get mixed with what happened now. And then we might bring up something in the past and get it mixed up with what we just experienced. And it causes confusion in my head. You know what I mean? So it's like I had this happen before, but I was younger and I didn't worry as much as I would at my age of 50, in my 50s. But whatever was happening when I got up in the morning, which I didn't think it was, a part of me thought, what if this is a heart attack? And the other part of me thought, what if this is me from working out and my body's aching? What if it's because, I ate the foods that I'm not normally used to and that's why my stomach's not feeling right. And I kept getting up to pee a lot because, I figured because I ate so much, I didn't walk it off. All these things I'm thinking is like, you know what? It'll pass. You live once. It was holiday dinner. Say Christmas only comes around once a year. Just splurge when you can, and that's it. It's not like you're doing it every day. And I figured, well, I can I could do it one night, and it's not going to be the end of the world. And then a part of me was thinking, well, maybe I cannot do that. Maybe there is no, have a slice of ham in this. Maybe there's not a day for that. But then I overthink things. And when I overthink things, I think then I don't know what the actual cause is, So yeah, anesthesia. If you have any heart problems, you really got to be careful about anesthesia. You got to be careful about medical procedures, especially if there's any surgical procedures done. And now that I've kind of went down this road again so many years later, but I feel like God is watching me, and I feel like me eating healthier has saved me from something being more complicated than it could have been. Had it have been the same thing with me not eating healthy, where would I be right now? If I had the same experience, if I came back from the Christmas dinner at my neighbor's and had that situation happen, would I still be here? Now, I'm wondering if that was God telling me not to go to my friend's Christmas dinner the night before Christmas. So if things worked out, I would have been to 2 Christmas dinners, one the night before Christmas and one on Christmas Day, right? But what if there was some force that was telling me not to go to that dinner because they had to relocate the dinner further away and I didn't have enough charge in my battery to drive the extra distance. And I didn't have the money to go supercharged to fill up the battery more than what I had budgeted for the week. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I saved myself. Maybe God's saying, well, you didn't go because you're going to go there and you're going to eat something that's going to be unhealthy, or someone's going to have COVID, or someone's going to be super sick and you're going to get really sick. Something's going to happen, or maybe, you run off the road or something. I'm thinking, what if God saved me? Maybe the whole party, the whole dinner was changed and started at a different place because that was God's way of saying, you know what? If you were to have stayed at such party, or if you would have had enough juice in your Tesla, this could have happened to you, or that would have happened. But yet, I'm making sure you don't have enough charge and making sure that you're so stressed financially that you're not going to go drive out of your way to find a supercharger and then work your way back. And I feel like whenever something doesn't go as planned, a part of me thinks it's because it's for the greater good. It's because God has a plan, and maybe God saved me from something that could have been worse. As much as I could have had fun going to a Christmas dinner the night before dinner with friends, something could have happened. I could have been exposed to something that could have got me very ill. There could have been an accident, could have ate something and got food poisoning. Anything could have happened. But since I did not go to that party or dinner because of the circumstances that changed last minute, I feel like maybe I was spared. Something could have happened. That's how I think, because if I start to think, the whole world's falling apart, this and that, everything is just failing. I can't, nothing's going right. I was invited to a party or dinner, whatever, and then things change. It's like bad luck, but then I'm thinking on the bright side, maybe it's a sign that, something bad could have happened and I just wasn't there. And I'm telling you right now, this is a message from God, because I remember when I was young, around 17, 18, like my very first job was at Radio Shack. Radio Shack, it was the most fun store ever. And there was a Radio Shack at one of the malls that I used to go to, and I used to work in a Radio Shack in a mall, yeah, the place where they have all the shopping centers indoors, and they got the really tall ceilings with the windows and the palm trees, or, all the beauty. And, you got all these stores, you got the food court, you got all these outlets, you can go shopping for clothes, you can go to GNC, get your nutritional needs taken care of, there's movie theaters, all these different things in a mall, right? And so it's the holidays. I happen to just be thinking about Radio Shack because I happen to hear Radio Shack. Some stores are popping up even though they closed down. Some of these people who are independent owners are deciding to open up stores that were closed down. I'm like, wow, Radio Shack. There's Radio Shacks in the malls. There's Radio Shacks here. And there's like, I was going to visit one of my friends. So I want to go take a trip into northern Florida. So I'm just it's time to head south. Let's go to Florida. And one place I want to stop and see if there's any Radio Shacks, because I heard there was a Radio Shack in the area somewhere. And I wanted to see if there was any Radio Shacks that existed that may have been taken over by a different owner, independently owned. And what place do you think a Radio Shack will be? Probably in a mall. So I'm thinking, you know what? I go to my friends, then I go a little bit further south and stop in Ocala, Florida. I figured I'd go a little further south, stop in Ocala, go in the mall, see if there's any Radio Shacks or any places there like a GNC or anything, just to kind of go down a nostalgic road, something that they bring me back in that nostalgic vibe, that feel of my happiness in the past, just wanted to see if any of those places would be there. But I didn't have enough charge in my Tesla to go the extra distance to go into Ocala, then go all the way back, and then go way, way back north, and then go all the way back here. So there's no way. That was a lot of driving just to go see my friend in Florida. And then me thinking about going a little bit further south into Ocala and going to the mall, the Ocala Mall. There's a mall in Ocala that I was going to as I was like searching up malls. And I'm like, okay, well, there's one there. I just want to have this, nostalgic feeling, maybe see a Radio Shack, or maybe even if it's a closed down, maybe repurposed Radio Shack, whatever it may be. It's like, who knows? I didn't go. I come back home. I go on YouTube to watch the videos, and I like to see what's going on in New York, and just want to know what's happening in the city, and if they're getting ready for the Christmas festive, because this was before Christmas. I like to watch the Christmas spirit in New York, and Times Square, and Rockefeller Center, all that. And I saw news about something that happened at the Ocala Mall, and I was like, holy shit, I almost went to that mall. I almost went to the damn mall in Ocala, Florida. When I drove into Florida to see my friend, I was ready to go further south, stop in the mall, see if they had one of those GNCs. I was like on a search for a Radio Shack. I'm like, you know what? I'm on a mission to just go down that nostalgic road, because I'm becoming very sentimental during the holidays, and I just wanted to feel some nostalgia, just I get that way in the holidays. And I couldn't believe what happened at the mall in Ocala. And I'm like, are you shitting me? It's like, is this God telling me something? Is this God like, you're not going to have enough charge on your battery. You're not going to make it to the mall. You're not going to that mall because you're not going to want to supercharge and spend more money to go down some nostalgic road in search of Radio Shack. You're not going. Does anybody know what happened at that mall? I'm sure somebody knows. And I almost was there. And I did go because I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not running out of energy and breaking down somewhere and not making it back home. Think about it. What happened at one of the malls in Ocala recently that hit the news? And I was almost going to be there in search of Radio Shack. Oh, man. It's a cool store, Radio Shack. Yes, absolutely. Sure was. I had my first calculator, too. Absolutely. Used to have a few friends that worked at Radio Shack. Blast from the past. Sure is, I'm telling you. Absolutely what happened. I just got here. What happened is early in the morning, I wasn't feeling myself. I think what happened was the stress and anxiety caused me to get lightheaded on top of feeling like somebody was poking me here and I kind of brushed that off as probably because I was laying down. I did have a snack at night as well after eating at my neighbor's for the Christmas and eating stuff I shouldn't have had, especially ham. I did get hungry late at night, so I do snack, and I did snack on something. I had one of those purple sweet potatoes, which I probably shouldn't have had, but I was hungry because it was about 4 or 5 hours later. I went to bed around 1 o'clock. 12:45, 1 o'clock I went to bed. I ate maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30, somewhere around that. I had a snack. It wasn't a big meal. It was just a purple sweet potato and some vegetables that I had. I try not to have any, a lot of meat products at night, late at night. So I was thinking maybe it's the potato or something. Maybe it's just something was just, so I went to bed, around 1. So it was a few hours, maybe I figured laying down, thinking that I worked out a lot and just, I did a lot of push-ups and lifting weights. My mind was all over the place. So what I was feeling was just brushing it off as me just overexerting myself, making up for, crappy weather and not getting enough steps. And then I was running in the rain and working out extra hard the last couple of days while riding out the crappy weather, and then eating, ham and all the things that I normally don't do, when it comes to food, especially since it's a holiday situation. I felt sensations, but it was not deniable that my heart was not beating properly because I felt it all over the place. It was skipping, then it was going really fast. And I'm like, I could start to hear it in my ears. My arm was hurting, but then I'm thinking, well, I had an injury to my arm years ago, and pain comes and goes in my arm, especially if I work out and lift weights. I was feeling pain in my shoulders, in my flank, in my left and right, and my back, and then my stomach was sore. So like to me, it felt like, okay, this is me working out hard, and there was that slight thought of, damn, I got the flu coming on, because the flu hits you like a freight train. Your body aches everywhere with the flu. And I did have like allergy-like symptoms a couple of days ago, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on with this? And is this allergies or COVID or what? But then I just figured it had to be the exertion of lifting weights, going harder at it than usual. But somehow I just started getting anxiety out of nowhere. I started having anxiety. I was getting lightheaded. I was having anxiety. I had to get up, pee and everything, and it's like something just doesn't seem right, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's not the weights, maybe it's not this, maybe it's not that, maybe I need to go to a doctor. So I waited, and like I said, I was in denial, thinking, oh, this is not happening. This is all just me exerting myself hard, worrying, eating what I ate last night, and you name it. And all just seems to be where my mind was going. I waited about an hour. Said, okay, I was thinking if it got any worse, I was definitely going to get an ambulance. An hour goes by. It's pretty much the same, but it's not as bad as it was, but it's still kind of where I don't know what the hell's going on with me. But my head was still kind of on and off, lightheaded. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to drive anywhere. So at that time, I was like, I'm just going to call my neighbor. Let me message them and call them, because they didn't answer the message. And from that point, telling my neighbor what's going on. And they insisted picking me up. I just wanted to walk. I said, well, I just want to make sure, I'm okay. I'm going to just walk over to your house, just to be sure. But they were more worried about me than I was. They were like, I need to get to the, you need to get checked out and this. And like, they really were like, got to pick you up, take you to the hospital, take you, like they were so worried. And I don't think I was worried as much, because I was thinking maybe this is because of all the other things. And part of me is like, well, maybe I need to go see the doctor. Maybe I need to see the doctor. I didn't want to inconvenience them for, her coming over to pick me up. So I walked there and I say, oh, okay, well, if I feel any worse or don't feel any better, we go to the doctors. It's kind of where it went. So I kind of wasn't thinking too clearly. I didn't know what I was doing. I just know that the ham that I had the night before was a lot of sodium in it. And so when I got to the doctor's office, they did the just checking my weight, all the other shit they do, and they check my vitals, O2 levels, blood pressure. Then get an ECG done. Of course, they have the doctor come in with the whole report, telling me that they tell me what's going on with the T wave or whatever. They show the waves of and they say, well, this here is of concern, and it shows this and that. I'm like, it shows that I had a myocardial infarction. All right, so I'm like, okay, now what? They wanted me to go to the hospital, and they do further checkout, because at that time I was like, I have a cardiologist, but this was an emergency situation. So it's like, go to the nearest hospital because the cardiologist that I go to is pretty far away. It's not like around the corner. You know, I have to set up appointments with them, and it's a good trip. It's a good drive. You know, I wish everybody was like right in the same area. I wish that everybody was right there in one spot and it can all be done in one spot. But cardiologist, not right there in the middle of where everybody else is. So it's like, there's no time to be driving all the way to the cardiologist and then trying to get worked in under some emergency, which, you know, you have to call in advance. Hospitals take you in quickly. Urgency centers take you in quickly, depending on the priority of the situation, the priority. So, you know, like I said, I have white coat syndrome, so I'm sure my blood pressure was much higher. It was high when I went there. It was like 180 over 120, something like that. I've never had it that high. Never. This was critical. It was so high, I said, can somebody else, like, can they do another blood pressure check? So like 5 minutes later, you know, ECG done, all that. I said, can we do another? They did another blood pressure check. The next one, it was 160 over 95. So it went down. So, you know, yeah, I'd rather pick 160 over 95 than 180 over 120. I'm like, the nurse, when they took my blood pressure, her expression on her face, she was like, she was wondering if I took my blood pressure medicine or did I have any like sodium, extra sodium. She said, did you have anything salty for breakfast? So I'm like, no, I didn't even have breakfast yet. It's too early. It's too early for breakfast. So I guess the anxiety of being in a doctor's office, on top of the anxiety of not knowing what the hell's going on with my heart and my body, you know, me being conflicted between, oh, it's the pain from working out, and oh, it could be a heart problem, something going on with my heart. That's like a mental battle I was dealing with. So I guess that created, you know, extremely high blood pressure, at the point where somebody who has a blood pressure that high can have a damn stroke. And I'm thinking, if I wasn't on top of my health and eating properly, I might not have made it this far, and I might not be here right now. You know? So yeah, going to the cardiologist, for me, it's not as simple as it is hopping in a car and driving a few miles. I have to make this a big plan because it's not around the corner. Now, there are some cardiologists that are closer, but they're not in my network. They are not in my network. That means that my health insurance will not cover it. I have to drive out of town to go to a cardiologist that is covered in my network. That's how the ball rolls sometimes, you know? That's how the game is. That's how it is in life. I can't pick and choose who's in network. That's what the insurance company does. So I got to go, you know, think about it. If you go and you have some kind of surgical procedure at a cardiologist or something big, and you don't have in-network health coverage, where's that money going to come from to pay that bill? When I'm broke right now, I don't have the financial means to do that. So it's a pretty complicated situation. And also, I go by the ratings. I didn't really care for the reviews of the cardiologists that were closer. And so it's like, am I going to put my trust in these cardiologists here when they got like a 2.8 star rating? Or am I going to go with the 4.8 star rating that has coverage in my network? That's another thing. It's like, yeah, I stay on top of my health, but I'm also going to make sure that I'm going to go to a cardiologist who I trust and has good ratings and is also in network. But unfortunately, that choice is not close by, and I have to travel for that. Everything else close by, cardiologists, no. It's kind of how the ball rolls, isn't it? Need to see if you have any blockages because they had to go up Dad's leg. You know, I don't know what is happening, but my cholesterol is higher. But the thing is, my good cholesterol is much higher than average. It's like 20 points higher than the average. So my HDL is way up there. So it compensates for my LDL being high. So my good cholesterol is beating the shit out of the bad cholesterol. You know what I mean? Do you have calcium checker? Speaking of calcium, like magnesium, calcium, potassium, we're talking some minerals here. When I had some blood work done years ago, one thing that was elevated was magnesium. The doctors were concerned because my magnesium was elevated, and they wanted to know if I was taking magnesium supplements. And yes, I was, and I still do. It helps me sleep at night. I take magnesium, but I don't take too much because I know that magnesium in large quantities could cause bradycardia to be worse. And I don't need bradycardia being worse than it is. My heart rate is already goes down into 38 to 40, between 38 and 40. I'll be sitting here, it's probably around 43 right now, beats per minute. If I have too much magnesium, that might go down way too low. We don't need that. Then, if your body doesn't have enough oxygen, then your brain is telling your heart that it needs to pick up the pace. And then when you start having that happen, the likelihood of atrial flutter increases as these electrical impulses are now increasing the frequency, and sometimes things get kind of out of sequence. Misfires happen. Then you have, atrial flutter. You have this heart rhythm that's abnormal, causing blood to pool in your chamber of your heart, causing potential of a blood clot and blockages that can happen in a result of lack of oxygen due to blood clotting and restricting the flow. So yeah, I don't eat out at fast food restaurants. I don't eat meat like beef. Oh crap, ham. I just thought about that. I cannot have red meat. I cannot have any mammalian meats. I have allergies to any mammal meats. Like, I cannot have beef. Any animal that is a mammal, I cannot eat it. I break out in hives. I just thought about that. And I focused on I cannot have beef because of that. I also found that I cannot have lamb either. Now, pigs are also mammals. They give live birth. They feed just like cows would. So basically, I shouldn't even have had the ham to begin with. But it was more of a gesture as a neighbor to a neighbor that they went out of their way to invite me over for a meal. And they even said I could bring something if I couldn't have the ham if it was not in my diet. And so I did bring something, but I didn't bring something just for me. I brought something for everyone. So I brought the turkey and the muffins and the sweet potato casserole. So I brought everything for everybody. And so when I was there and saw the ham on the table and just know that there was so much love and time put into making the meal, I felt like it would be a good gesture for me to have a serving or at least one slice of ham. So I did that out of a gesture more than me wanting to have ham, because I haven't had ham in years. It looked good, but it was more of a gesture in showing appreciation, which led me to having, and that same thing happened with the cookies. I really didn't want to have the cookies, but she told me that she baked them. They're Polish cookies, that she made them homemade. And she also mentioned something about a pumpkin pie. No, it was an apple pie, but it was store-bought apple pie, but it was homemade cookies. So I went for the homemade cookies because, she was telling me about the homemade cookies. I'm like, you know what? She took her time out of her day to make those cookies, and she was talking about how good they are. And I can't say no. So out of a gesture of just, out of a gesture, I said, yeah, I would love to have a cookie. And she says, well, they're really small, so you might want more than one. So I said, okay, I'll have a couple. And so that was more of a gesture than it was me wanting cookies. So me eating the ham and having the cookies was not like something I normally would do. It was more of a gesture of like just showing appreciation that, she took the time out of her day to cook for, me to come over, even though her and her husband were going to, have the dinner, but they invited me over. So they, prepared for me to be there too. So I ate something I normally don't eat as a way of showing my appreciation. I don't know, have you ever done that? Have you ever went to visit somebody and they had something that they offered on the table that is not normally something you would eat, but to show your appreciation and thankfulness that you went out of your norm and ate it on that day because it just felt like that was the right thing to do? Let me know in the comments. Yes, too much magnesium, especially magnesium citrate. Definitely could make you have the runs there. That's why I space my supplements. I space them out. I take half my dosage in the morning and half at night. I don't have it all together. Hey, Bobby, there was a SHOOTING at the mall in Ocala. One no longer with us. My condolences to that person and family. And one, I can't say these words because of YouTube. So they caught the guy, huh? Well, see, that's what I was saying about the mall. That's the mall I'm talking about. That's the mall I almost went to. The one that Elizabeth is talking about, which I don't want to reiterate the words. I know what the words are. I know how to read. I'm not illiterate. I just cannot say it because of YouTube. They will consider this a video that will never get published or shared. You know how it is. I've been doing this for so long. I know what to avoid saying, what words are trigger words. But that's exactly what I mean when I was ready to make that side trip. Going down that nostalgic road in search of, that Radio Shack and feeling the vibe of the mall and Radio Shack and GNC and the food court. Even, just seeing if they had any of those Chinese places in the food courts. Because the only thing I ever would eat at the Chinese place would be the sesame chicken, right? Or there'd be what do you call it? The cheese wontons. It's the only thing I really like the most. But even though I wouldn't eat that stuff right now, I just wanted to experience it and have nostalgia, just take over during the holidays, But that crazy situation happened, and I didn't go because I didn't have enough battery. Corin, I did bring my own food. I bought some turkey muffins and my sweet potato casserole, that I made. I bought that stuff over there. And I have leftovers. I have leftovers right here. See, now I'm about ready to eat. See, I'm going to show you what the sweet potato souffle that I made that they really loved. I'm going to turn the camera around to show you. This is the sweet potato casserole that I made. They took they were like, oh, can we have a little bit? It's like, sure, you can have more. Like they didn't want to take all of it. But they have some, and then this is a purple sweet potato.
This is what I had a slice of last night, which, I shouldn't have probably had it too late. But look at that, it's purple. These are good. And I have more of those right here. I picked those up when I went to go visit a friend of mine. I picked them up on my road trip, and I stocked up. I was like, they have them. And let's see. Let me see what else I got. Oh, and here's this turkey. Look I still got turkey left right there. And I had some of my, takeover. I was taking some of the food over. I made some of these muffins right here. Still got some muffins left. And my homemade cranberry sauce right there. Look at all that homemade cranberry sauce. My gravy. And there's even a turkey neck. So I bought food over. They had some. They didn't want to take all the food from me. They're like, well, we don't want to take all your food. But I did have my own when I bought it there. I had my own stuff. And I'm about ready to have some of this before it's too late. My sweet potato casserole. Man, this stuff is so good. But that's what I had brought over. So I did bring my own stuff. But like I said before, out of gesture, I had a slice of the ham that they had there. Because it's kind of like they made it, and I felt like I had to have at least a slice to show that gesture. I know there's such thing as it because I just experienced that. I participated in that, Love the wontons. There you go. Absolutely. Radio Shack is no longer open there, by the way. See, it's disappointing to know that these Radio Shacks have closed, but a part of me is like, I'm on a mission. A lot of these things you don't know they're closed until you go there because you got to be like in the circle to know. Because sometimes, you'll see a store open, but then nowhere online shows that it's open. Or a store might be closed and online it shows that it's open. So I've been to ghost stores before where you see something online and then you go there and it's an abandoned place. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So I've given up the trust in seeing what's open and what's not. So instead of trying to gamble on that, I'll just go somewhere and see it for myself. And if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And then I've learned, in reality, instead of trusting the internet to see if something's open, call a number, you don't get through. Well, maybe they changed their number. Well, we'll go drive there and find out. I'm just glad that I wasn't there. But then again, what if I was there? What would I, the timing, if I was there, thinking about the timing. I'm the kind of person I'm a very protective person of others. People that I care about, even strangers, if I know that they need help, I'm very protective. So I'm a part of me is like, well, what if I got there earlier and I was able to, maybe stop somebody from doing something stupid? But it's not like I'm some superhero. I can't change the world. I'm not like some, what do you call it? I'm just not some superhero that's going around. I'm not a vigilante. It's like, oh, we're going to stop crime everywhere. But a part of me is like, well, damn, this happened. Now, if I could have been there early enough, maybe I could have been that annoying guy in the Tesla that breaks down in front of somebody for not having enough battery, and that person that's stuck behind me happens to be the person that's the perpetrator. And then I slowed them down. And then say they come out of their car, ready to battle. And then I, grab my Second Amendment piece and say, well, you picked the wrong guy, and it ends there. It's like anything could happen. It's like, but I think God chose for me not to go there because maybe I would have been another casualty, or I don't know. maybe me even witnessing that would have destroyed the whole nostalgic feel that I was going for and cause emotional trauma. You know what I mean? Even if nothing happened to me, seeing other people going through that, being in a situation where you have to witness something like that would bring very bad, long lasting, horrifying memories. And then I don't think God wants anybody to deal with that. So there's no telling if God played part of me not having enough energy to make it there and potentially either be a victim of something like that or witness something like that, which would cause a lot of emotional damage. There's no telling. I don't have a crystal ball, but I feel like this has happened twice in this week, twice. Going to the before Christmas dinner, not be able to make it when plans change last minute, and that whole situation at the mall, me searching for a Radio Shack and trying to just go down a nostalgic road during the holidays. Things happen for a reason, don't they? I always feel like it does. Maybe what happened this morning happened for a reason, because that kind of gave me a motivation. Because I don't like going to the doctors no matter what. It's like I try to avoid the doctors. I'm like, you know what? I eat healthy. I exercise. I'm trying to stay away from doctors. I don't trust people, and I don't trust all doctors. And I feel like, doctors are out to help people, but some are out to make money. Maybe some do both, right? And you just don't know. And then some think they're God and know everything. So the less time I spend in a doctor's office, the happier I am. And then my mentality of thinking about how life is precious and life is short, it's like, why spend my time stressing about every single thing that I feel going on with my body as I'm getting older? I'm like, I got to stop this anxiety. I got to break the cycle. It's like I've had health anxiety for years, but it was the worst since February. And everything that I felt, I was constantly going to the doctors. Oh, this has happened. My lymph nodes are swollen. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And then they would find other problems. And then I would have more anxieties over the problems they were finding. And then things were just leading one thing to another. And it was like, okay, you know what? New Year is coming. I'm just going to start my resolution early. I'm not going to jump in the car or panic every time something feels different with my body, because I'm going to end up going down that dark road again where I'm thinking I'm dying and this is happening. And, oh, it's cancer here, cancer there. I mean, I went to a cancer specialist, had a CT scan done. Everything looked good except for there was a cyst on my kidney, and my 2 external iliac lymph nodes are swollen and my inguinal lymph nodes are still enlarged. So there's adenopathy going on in my body, but only in that area. That's been happening since February 2023. So this is a long time. It's almost a year ago already that I discovered enlarged lymph nodes that still are enlarged. And so all that anxiety, I'm just getting caught up in that cycle. So I've had similar things like this happen where I was feeling these pains and it was just like, oh, I'm working out. But for some reason today, the pain was just more pronounced. It was more obvious. It was palpitations come along with it. I was having palpitations an hour after eating at my neighbor's, and that kind of led to another thing. And then I just I'll do some more walking. And the other thing I realized is I must not have drinking enough water, even though I was peeing a lot. So I think I was peeing out what I had left in my body, because the doctors, when I went to the hospital, they also noted that I was on the verge of dehydration. So, of course, just hooked me up on an IV, and now I got this solution, saline. They're hydrating me with hydration intravenously, which God knows, I hope insurance covers all of this. So they're attributing, that as part of my feeling lightheaded, and the whole heart arrhythmia, the cardiac arrest, the heart attack. I don't like saying that word too much on this platform. But the ECG that they have shows a myocardial infarction of undetermined age. All right, so that means that the EKG or ECG shows that there has been some damage caused by a heart attack, whether the heart attack is currently happening or has recently happened or happened a long time ago. Now, of course, you're going to have different things going on if you're like right in the middle of a heart attack when you're symptomatic and your O2, everything in your body's just going out of whack. Your heart is showing obvious problems. But the ECG showed that I was having a heart attack when I went to the doctors, which led me to going to the hospital. They did the 12-lead test on me, which indicated that I have had a heart attack as opposed to having a heart attack at the doctor's office. So there was two different circumstances. Doctor's office, so it said mentioning this and that, like I am having a heart attack, that they suggest I go to the emergency room. They wanted to have an ambulance come, but I said that I have someone who drove me to the doctors and they can take me. God forbid you put on an ambulance drive. How much that's going to cost if your insurance doesn't cover all of it, especially if I have a copay and there's a percentage that they cover. So my neighbor, I said, you can go home, but they didn't want to go home. So they actually went shopping nearby, and then they were back in the parking lot waiting for me. So I said, yeah, well, doctor said, I need to go to the hospital. And that's the point right there where it's like, okay, well, do I need to sign more waivers? I've been down this road before. Do I need to sign a release? What's going on? Because I'm refusing to be driven in a ambulance. But I'm not refusing to go to the hospital. It's just that the transportation method of going is not going to be ambulance. It's going to be my neighbor's going to drive me instead, which it all worked out. I got there. But, they wanted to keep me there longer in the hospital than I was comfortable with. And I was starting to feel more myself, especially after I was hooked up to IVs. I guess that my hydration level was going back to normal. I'm like, they do the ECG, and that's where it sort of showed myocardial infarction of undetermined age. And there was other couple of things. And I've had previous ECGs years ago that showed that I had a heart attack, but it never showed that I was currently having a heart attack. But still, they rushed me, you need to go to the hospital, and I refused and signed a waiver to get the hell out of that situation. And so I was feeling better. It's like, let me just go home, which ended up turning into people that care about me kind of pushed me to go to the hospital, so I ended up going because, it was their advice, and sometimes you just got to take the advice of people, friends and family, and go to the hospital, right? So it's what I had to do at that time. Like I said, I'm talking about two different times, so it might get a little confusing to some of you watching, because I'm talking about a past situation where I had a heart attack back 15 years ago, and I've mentioned about how that comes into play with my healthy eating and me still being here, and what happened early in the morning today. So I'm jumping back and forth. So if some of you are getting confused about what's happening and how it happened and who drove here and who's driving there and when somebody drove here and when somebody did this and who signed this waiver and who did that, all these, I'm going back and forth at time, okay? I'm flipping back and forth because I'm trying to compare the severity between when it happened before and when it happened now, and also take into consideration that I'm 15 years older. Think about that. I'm older. Back then, what was I, in my 40s, late 30s, 40s, somewhere around there. I mean, it was just barely 15 years ago. And I could be off by a couple years. I'm not a walking calculator. I don't remember everything. I can go in my medical records and say it's
15 years ago. Oh, damn, this was 12 years ago. It's 11 years ago. I'm off by 3 or 4 years. I don't know. Time goes by. When you get older, time just slips by so fast, you lose perception of time. What's 15 years ago might feel like 20 years ago, or it may feel like 10 years ago. I'm losing track of how time feels. Anyway, enough of that, right? I'm here. I survived what could have been my last Christmas. And why am I like doing a live stream? Because I wanted to do a live stream after Christmas anyway. I wanted to do a live stream to just tell everybody, you know, that I'm having an amazing Christmas. I have amazing neighbors who invited me over, to not worry about me being alone. You know, don't feel sorry for me being alone, because I made that choice to move down here. But I also left open options for me to have visitors, for me to have company, for someone to visit me. I've never moved down here and I never said to anybody, you can't come here, there's not enough room. I made enough room for anybody to come visit me. You know, I made it hospitable for others to be here, to stay as long as they want. I made that option. But unfortunately, since circumstances are changing, I might be losing what I have here and then have to live in something much smaller that's not going to have enough room to have anybody come visit. But when that day comes, I'm not going to stress and worry about it to the point where it's going to cause me to be counterproductive, and then I end up falling further behind. We cannot go back in time and change the past. I made some good financial decisions and I made some very bad ones, right? I don't regret all the family vacations that I sponsored. You know what I mean? The amount of money I put into that, it would make you like say, holy crap, are you serious? That's a lot of money. That was me years ago. I didn't care. I just had fun. And I figured if anybody else was with me having fun, it was worth it. Didn't matter how much it costed. If we were having fun, I was just spending as much as I can, because I couldn't put a price on quality time with people you care about. It was like, it didn't matter how much money it cost. All that mattered is we had that experience. No matter what the price financially, we had that experience. So that's how I was. Yeah, I'm not as well off now because I don't have the reserves anymore, or the income. And that's why I guess when it comes to medical things, I put off a lot of doctor visits, because I know it creates more health anxieties, and health anxiety become expensive, because then you end up going to the doctors more and more and more, and then some things are not covered by your health insurance. You know, or you start having to pay these co-pays. And then when you have a deductible that's pretty high, then you got to pay until you reach your deductible. So there's so many things that lead you to only go to the doctor when absolutely necessary. Go for your annual checkups, your wellness checkups. As long as you're eating healthy, take care of your blood pressure, everything, you know, I monitor my blood pressure, my weight, I check my blood sugar, all these things I do at home. You know, anything unusual happens, then see a doctor. Like when my lymph nodes started swelling out, I saw a doctor. If I didn't see a doctor, I'd be worried about what is happening with my body. Why is this still happening? I'm walking around a little bit because I can't sit down too much. I can't. I've been like, it's just been one of those days. It's been one of those days. I can't be running right now. That's for damn sure. I don't want to, you know, even though I feel much better now, I don't want to push things, you know. But yet this morning was not a good experience. This morning was very stressful. Very, very stressful. And, you know, I don't have anything that proves to me, because it's like this, when you go to the doctors, I don't put 100% of my trust in the doctors. So while they're saying I'm having a heart attack, I'm saying, well, understand this. In my mind, I'm thinking, I had a heart attack 10, 15 years ago.
whatever, how long ago that was. I had one. It shows up on the ECG. Okay? I had an ECG done when I went to the cardiologist, I think it was 6 months ago. And it showed the same thing. It showed, that I had a myocardial infarction of undetermined age. Interesting how that, probably have that somewhere here. Might have it. Oh, yes, I do. Yes. I have to fold it for privacy reasons, obvious reasons. Okay. I always have to just kind of make sure I'm. Can we see, is it backwards or is it not backwards? Can you tell if it's backwards or not? Anybody? Any experts out there? Any experts out there? Okay, let me put that away. I feel like I'm adding a collection of ECGs. I feel like the collection's just growing. It's like now it's becoming part of my health portfolio. Let's have more to share in my portfolio of healthness, whatever you want to call it. I gotta find a place to stand still. Go crazy over here. All right, let's see who. Bobby, easy as the song C says. Yes, absolutely. I'm always trying to be careful. Try not to let things stress me out. I feel like the health anxieties, the stress of being alone and feeling like nobody cares anymore to even talk to me, when you have friends in your life and then there's this disconnect and then you just never hear from them anymore. That's kind of the kind of vibe I feel. I get that. It's just like people just move on with their lives. Things change and then you just never hear from them anymore. Then you're hoping at least you'll hear from them during the holidays at least, but then it's kind of like you become invisible, I guess, I guess that's the price you pay when you move away from some of your friends, you move further away, or your friends move somewhere far away, and you still try to keep in touch with them, and then they keep in touch, and then they gradually just fade away. It happens. It's part of life, right? And, I have friends that are like family to me, but I'm glad to have some of the friends I have in my life right now who live close by, who live nearby, and have some friends that live close by, but it's still a road trip, and I have to drive about 2 hours to get there, but still, compared to driving all day, 12 hours more, or 15 hours or more, much better. So, I can't complain. I can't be too picky, right? Ego said it's best. Everyone went their own way. My goodness. I got to take it easy like the Eagles. Let's see, I had a 2022 last month. Wasn't a big deal as they had my back. Yeah, COVID doesn't seem to be much of an issue for me. I had anxieties about it. I worried so much about it, and then when I got it, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I had it. I've had it 3 or 4 times now. Never even knew I had it. Other than, I was like, this is not allergy season. Why am I having sniffles? What's going on here? And then it lasts a few days, and it's gone. I'm like, well, okay, maybe whatever it is, maybe somebody had something I was allergic to in the neighborhood, and now it's gone. You know, I don't know. Merry Christmas. I gotta go. Dinner done. Absolutely, Tina G. Hope you enjoy your dinner. Absolutely. Yes. And I guess, Tina, if you of all people know the situation I'm in, about my health and the heart situation and my blood pressure and my strict diet and my exercise routine. So, yeah, we all got these challenges we have in life. We've got something going on. So, but the thing that I feel like the doctors are reiterating something that already happened in the past, and they're making it sound like it's something happening now, which creates more anxiety. I had these sensations, and I'm thinking, okay, muscle pains, workout pains, heart, or is it heart? I'm not even going to say the word, heart issue, heart something going on. It's kind of like a gamble, right? So going to the doctors, a part of me is like, I don't want to go there, and then they make a big thing about it, and then I start panicking because they're going to take it to another level. That was one of my fears. Another reason why I don't like going to the doctors, because I feel like they might make a big thing out of something that's not as big as it could be, and then it's like now you're having anxiety, raising your blood pressure so high you have a stroke. And so that's a very legit worry that I have and a concern. And some things I just write it off as, oh, it's just got to be from working out or something I ate. I don't want to go to the doctors and they're going to make a big thing about it and I'm going to panic or something, or they're going to freak out. When I went to the doctors and then I was already having anxiety. That's why my blood pressure was probably so high, because it's the whole situation. And they're telling me, I need to go to the emergency room. And I was like, this is deja vu. I swear I've been down this road years ago. What the hell's going on? And so they're acting like it's happening in the moment. But what if the damage that I had done from a previous heart attack is just showing up again on a new ECG? Let's just think about this. Once the damage is done, is it ever going to go away? So if you have an ECG done 10 years later, 20 years later, I had one done back months ago, 6 months ago, 5 months ago. I don't even know how many months ago. I know I went to a cardiologist, and it showed that I had a heart attack in the past, which was knowledge that I already knew, because yeah, that's nothing new. I know that I had one. And I even told the cardiologist in advance, the ECG might come back abnormal because, I've had a heart attack in the past and a previous ECG was abnormal. So when that came back as abnormal, the cardiologist wasn't freaking out because I already had to give them that information ahead of time. Plus, it was already in the medical records, which I shared a picture of that documentation of the actual, ECG. So if I were not to have said that I've had a heart attack in the past and had a previous abnormal ECG, they may have escalated something into a more urgent situation without that other knowledge. Going to the doctor, I was so caught in the moment that I didn't have time to get into a conversation about what happened in the past. And my assumption is, if anything happened at the cardiologist, that the records that are at the cardiologist would also be sent to my primary physician, so they would know that there is an abnormal ECG on record. So if they saw another abnormal ECG, that they would have to, take that into consideration. But they treated this like I was having a whole new episode. This is a heart attack in action, and we need to go. I didn't. And I'm thinking, if this is saying I'm having a heart attack in action, then why am I not leaning over, gasping for air, holding my chest, grabbing my left arm? Why am I not falling on the floor? That's the question I had going through my head. But I went to the hospital because that was the advice. And when your primary physician refers you to somewhere and you have an HMO plan, and you're in the network with your physician, then I figured it's a covered event. My insurance is going to cover majority of that. So, you cannot put a price on your health. Let's just go find out what the hell's going on, since they say I'm currently having a heart attack, not I had, past tense. Two different things. Going to the hospital gave me reassurance, because then when I went there, they said it was past tense. As you see on the report, it shows past tense. As it happened in the past, not in the now. Like you are currently up Schitt's Creek now. No, not now. Are you kidding me? Not another one. No, you can't be kidding me. Oh my God. Who was Bobby? They told me that my cholesterol was bad, so they put me on cholesterol medication and said I don't have no cholesterol medication problems. I stopped all my medications. You know what I do for cholesterol? This is for me. I'm not trying to give anybody advice. I eat a lot of foods with high amounts of omega-3 fatty acids, and I eat a lot of garlic. And I eat a lot of vegetables. And if I have any dairy products, it's all grass-fed. Grass-fed milk, grass-fed cheese, salmon. Coho salmon is really good. I also take omega-3 supplementation. I take garlic supplementation on top of eating raw, fresh garlic. Yeah, I man up, or whatever you want to call it. I eat raw garlic, and sometimes it's hard on my stomach. But I'll dice it up and have it with my broccoli, with some Greek yogurt. You know, so I eat a lot of foods that help your body with cholesterol problems. So if you're having high cholesterol, you know, me, I'm consuming high amounts of omega-3s. I'm supporting good HDL cholesterol, the good stuff. And garlic, it has, you know, some other effects. It also can thin your blood to an extent. So, you know, I was taking vitamin E for a while, but I stopped. I just started taking other supplements. But there was a combination of things I was taking to kind of help keep things flowing better, you know. And so some of the foods that I would consume would be spicy foods as well. Because spicy foods, such as hot peppers, even eating something like, beets, things like that, it helps your body produce nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So think about a vasodilator as something that it's opening up your vascular system and allowing better blood flow, less restriction, vasodilators. Now, some of these blood pressure medications are synthetic vasodilators. Angiotensin. You have different kinds of things that will cause your vascular system to open up and allow the floodgates to flow better. Foods that help your body produce nitric oxide have that same effect. Reducing your blood pressure, increasing blood flow, delivery of nutrients and oxygen throughout your body and your organs that need it. So with all these things, like my healthy eating, you know, eating foods that help your body promote nitric oxide, and foods that help raise HDL cholesterol, and also help with circulation of your blood. And I also do have foods, you know, I try to be sparing on certain foods, but, you know, you do have to have, like for me, I have to have some vitamin K, even though vitamin K will promote blood clotting. You know, you have to find the fine balance between having vitamin K and vitamin E, and foods that will thin your blood, you know, eating your garlic and your ginger and omega-3s, you know, certain foods that will do beneficial things. So that's me, eating the things that are organic, expensive, that I cannot afford to eat. And it's going to come a time where I'm not going to be able to afford that. So I'm living for now with the health that I have now, because I'm afraid down the road I'm not going to be able to eat as healthy, because I'm not going to have the financial means to support that. You know, it's not going to be viable. Let's see who's out here. Okay, love garlic. Bobby, I have a lot of problems along with gluten free. Can't have, I'm on a strict diet, lost a lot of weight from 45, 9 pounds down to 299 pounds, still work. Yes, gluten. Yeah, for some people, gluten causes inflammation. It interferes with your microbiome in your gut. It can cause a lot of havoc in your digestive system. And for some people, it can start to destroy the protective coating in your stomach. We know we have this barrier in our stomach. It's like a mucus kind of barrier. So, you think about this barrier in your intestines, in your digestive system, and you have all these microbiome, all these bacteria, good bacterias. You have a wide assortment of bacterias, and you start eating foods, that your digestive system is not equipped to handle. By default, we are not really equipped to digest gluten. That's not something that's really in our body's norm to process. And if you have any issues with your stomach, especially some of these digestive issues, you can have some major inflammation in your gut due to consumption of gluten. And there is a stomach to skin connection. So, if your stomach is not doing well, your complexion of your skin is going to be compromised. And so is your immune system. So, having an off-balanced microbiome, having too much of the bad bacteria could lead to health problems. Have the wrong combination of the bacteria, not a pleasant experience. You might start having issues with digestion and indigestion and malabsorption and, diarrhea, constipation, IBS symptoms. You don't want to have too much like sugar craving bacteria in your body, in your gut. Certain foods can cause an overgrowth of certain bacterias, which can cause a lot of problems, a lot of skin problems too. You can end up getting yeast infections and other things just from having an unbalanced microbiome and consuming the wrong kinds of foods or excessive amounts of sugars. Chibo, think about that. Do we really want to have all these problems in our gut? I don't think so. So I'm very health conscious. Just don't want to be dealing with all that crap. I don't even like taking antibiotics because I know what antibiotics does to your microflora, your microbiome. Antibiotics is attacking bacteria, and it doesn't differentiate between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria in your stomach. So, it's kind of like, you have casualties in your stomach. You've got collateral damage from taking antibiotics, and the longer you take them, the more damage is done. So when I had the cystoscopy done, they had to put me on 5 days worth of antibiotics, and I did not want to take this stuff. I did not want to take it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to double up on my nutritional supplementation. But I ended up taking it because I didn't want to have to deal with urinary tract infection spreading to my kidneys and bladder, and I just didn't want to have all that problem. So I took them for 5 days. Then I ended up getting some probiotics and getting the high strain, like 100 billion cultures, taking them twice a day. I mean, I'm just going, I got to get the bacteria back to, on track. I'm like, OCDs drive me crazy about it. My dad and mom usually go fishing. They bring home a lot of fish. Oh, yes. Fish is good, Lisa. Oh, man, it's some good stuff. Salmon is one of the most healthiest fish, especially coho salmon. So I prefer that when it comes to omega-3 content. You have other kinds of fish out there, but salmon's just like one of the top ranking, as far as omega-3s. Like mahi, not really that, I see a lot of mahi out there, but it's not really that beneficial health-wise. It's good for protein, But if you want to get any omega-3s, you know, a mahi-mahi's just not going to get you where you want. You're going to be disappointed. But it'll definitely fulfill your protein requirements. But then it's like if I ever had to eat mahi-mahi, I would want to have something high in omega-3s to supplement it, because that would be lacking that the omega-3s that I would want. So I stick with just salmon. Salmon's like my top of the list, you know. And you can also get it in like in squid. Squid has omega-3. So I'll have squid, you know. Why not? You know, a little bit of squid. So I have a combination of stuff there. The healthy food is the most expensive. Junk isn't as expensive. I'm telling you, I know it should be the other way around. I love pickled beets. Yes, pickled beets are good. You know, if I pickle them, I have to pickle them myself with a little bit of, you know, apple cider vinegar, and do it that way with a little bit of stevia to give it some sweetness. You know, I don't want to add any salt. It's a fish, mahi, mahi, mahi. We got tilapia, which is also like, there's not much, what do you call it? Tilapia is another one that doesn't have, it's like, no sense of me eating tilapia if I'm not going to get the omega-3s that I'm looking for. If I want to get my omega-3 fix, I'm going with salmon. You know, that's how I just do. Let's see, I got to go eat something, you know, and I got to go walking. I'm hungry, got to eat, all that stuff. There's a book my dad had, but it's called Before You Call the Doctor, and it's a good idea. I'm telling you. You know, I probably could have just not have gone to the doctors today. I feel like, you know, the doctor is telling me, you know, you're having a heart attack, you know, get an ambulance. I'm like, I got in, my neighbor's right there. I'm just going to ride with her. I didn't want to have to rack up. The anxiety of being in an ambulance is just enough in itself to probably make things worse. And I wasn't driving myself. But even if I say I'm driving over there, if I said I drove over there, it means my neighbor drove me. If I say ambulance drove me, but no, I drove. It means my neighbor drove me, basically. So being at the hospital, you know, I was like, I'm not really feeling like I was before, but, you know, I'm already here. Doctor's already freaking me out saying I got a heart attack, and it's happening now in real time, you know, like, well, shit. I'm surprised I'm not like bent over, passing out, like, or I'm surprised that I haven't already. I mean, how long is this damn thing going to happen? How long is it lasting? I'm thinking to myself, like, if I'm having one, it's obvious I'm not going to be driving anywhere. But if somebody drives me, that's different. They wanted me to be rushed in an ambulance. I'm standing there, like, feeling better than I did when I was getting up in the morning, but having the anxiety on top of that. I was having more anxiety than anything at that time, at that moment. That kind of took over everything. So a part of me thinks that I didn't even have a heart attack. A part of me thinks that it's the pain that I'm dealing with working out, probably was slightly dehydrated, and I was just being cautious because I felt maybe God was trying to tell me something and I wasn't going to fight it this time like I normally would. And just feel like the doctor, you know, doctors are not cardiologists. They're not qualified to be cardiologists. And the doctor, they showed me what was going on the ECG. But I didn't have my glasses to read to see if it was showing in the past. I'm just looking at it going, yeah, okay, you know, I'm just listening to what they're saying while they're holding something in my face that's blurry as shit. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see it. You know, like, I don't wear glasses unless I'm wearing them to read. But they treated it like it was happening in the moment, not the past, which is why it created a sense of urgency with everybody. So I don't know. I'm really thinking that a part of me thinks that I may have never even had one, and they're just treating me like I'm having one again, when yet what they're seeing on the ECG is a past heart attack, and now they're making this an urgency, creating all the unneeded anxiety and putting me in that situation. But then again, I could have had another one, and I don't know. I just feel like if I had another one, wouldn't I be worse off now? Wouldn't something else be happening? Wouldn't I, wouldn't things be getting worse and worse? And would I be able to walk now? Maybe I was slightly dehydrated. Maybe having that ham had too much sodium in it, and I was eating later at night. Maybe I had too much sugar and all this. It can increase dehydration. And I try not to drink too much water at night because then I end up getting up peeing too much. I really cherish sleep. And so when it gets later, I'm like, well, I can't keep doing what I used to do, drinking water up to the last minute. It's like, I'm going to have to stop drinking water, before bed. Give me an hour or two. Like, I can't. So me holding back so that I don't get up in the middle of the night numerous times may have caused me to be slightly dehydrated when I woke up, only making everything worse, bringing on that little bit of dizziness and my lightheadedness, bringing on the anxiety from me feeling all these things happening, and maybe the pain from working out and just eating late and indigestion and just all these things combined together. And I go to the doctors and they just make things worse and put me in more of a psychological, I guess trauma, like mentally, like now we're just escalating this whole thing even more, aren't we? I was like, I come here and now this is escalated even to another level. And I was just being proactive and just say, oh, maybe I better go to the doctor. And, my neighbor being very generous to take me and, and I was thinking, well, I know I'm feeling better. I feel like maybe I can drive, but I just still at the time was like, I don't want to be that person who, goes behind a wheel and then God forbid, something happens and I don't want to cause anybody any accidents. So it's like, you know what? Just gonna go for the ride. But here I am, guys. So how was your Christmas? Let me know. I mean, I just kind of let you know how my Christmas went. I mean, it was great. I was able to spend time with my neighbors, amazing people. And I was invited to my friend's Christmas dinner the night before. And just even the gesture of me being invited meant a lot to me, even though things didn't work out and I was not able to actually go to the party. Because when I got there, they had to go to another location and it was out of my reach due to not having enough energy in my Tesla, which is, I'm getting a regular cheap car. I'm selling it, probably gonna be stuck with being upside down on it because I'm not gonna get more than what I owe on it. So this means that I'm probably gonna have to take out a loan when I sell it to pay the balance and then be paying back on that loan. So I do have a approval for another credit card, which is dumb for me to open up another line of credit because my credit's really good because I never go behind. I'm always shuffling. You learn to do the shuffle. It's the credit card shuffle. It's move your debt around, but never let any bills go past due. Just, you got a credit card that's payments due. You got another credit card that's got a credit line, pay that one with that one, then pay that one with the other one, then move that around. Then when you get extra money at the end of the month, which, ends up coming out of my retirement because I never have extra money from income because that's not enough. And the cycle repeats itself, and then I'm watching my savings go down and down. But that's how life is. All right, so let's see how you spent Christmas. I had to spend Christmas by myself. Pictures of my granddaughter came down with COVID. Oh, mamma mia. Yeah. I eat a lot of whites of the egg. There you go, a lot of protein. No blockage in the arteries. Yeah, that's the thing. There's no visible blockages, okay? This was all based on an ECG. Now, I have to go to my cardiologist, which is a good road trip. They're going to do an echocardiogram. They're going to do some more imaging testing. They're going to do thorough testing. And this is all kind of brought on from today. And I think it's a good sign and it's a good reason. I feel like this is God telling me that I need to look into my heart deeper, because I have a procedure coming up in the middle of January, which involves sedation or anesthesia. And depending on what they have to do, it can be either or. So I won't know exactly what's happening, but that procedure is going to be coming up middle of January. So I got to make sure I get clearance. I got to make sure I get clearance, because I had clearance from my cardiologist for a procedure that was done 6 months ago. I think it was somewhere down the line. Time goes by so fast, I don't even know. It could be more than that. Who knows? They gave me clearance because with the knowledge that they had from me saying that I had a previous abnormal ECG. So if they saw an abnormal ECG now, back then now, not now, that it's because I've had a heart attack in the past. So when that was conclusive and showed that, hey, this is representing what I spoke, the cardiologist saw no problems. So they didn't need to look further and do a echocardiogram and getting more detailed images of the heart and see the blood flow and see if there's any blockages. They didn't need to do any of that, because it was like, oh, well, they compared the last report that I voluntarily showed them to what they had, and nothing looked like it got worse. It was about the same of everything. And so I had clearance, so I was able to get another procedure done. So that's kind of where it went. So now I'm down this road where I feel like the past heart attacks or heart attack is maybe misguiding the cardiologists, and they're just looking at it, oh, this is a past situation, no concern now, and not looking deeper to see if there's anything that needs to be addressed or looked into. So this time, there's going to be an echocardiogram. It's going to be actual imaging of the heart to see the ejection fraction ratio of the heart, the blood, and just see what's going on with the blood flow in the heart. This way now, I'll have a better. Anyway,